2. So great to see you all tonight. Are you ready? We're going to have a great night. I think people are fighting traffic, and that's okay. If you want to sit where you're seated, that's great. If you'd like to get a little more closer together, the camera will pick your head up and I can brag on you around the globe, okay? So that's up to you. There you go. So I love it. Welcome to G5 Leadership. It's one of my favorite things we do here. Of course, I love church, but I love building leaders. And so my background is in that. And I've had a lot of fun not only building my own organizations, but building a lot of other organizations. So it's a joy. You know, when you start out, you want to make a difference and you start getting employees and you get to 50 and then you get to 100 and then I got 500. And we were in 180 nations around the world. And at the same time, we're building multiple companies. So most guys that come to me, just a little bit for you to know, okay, are they're doing 80 to 100 million themselves and they want to go to a billion. So if it's okay if I talk to you tonight on the level of here's where you are, because I want you to write this down if you can. It's what we know that I'm so certain about that is keeping me from knowing what I need to know. It's what I know. And so one of the first things that has to happen for an organization to grow is that a leader has to reinvent themselves. It's why now every major Fortune 100 company no longer hire MBAs because they're operating on yesterday's information, trying to run a today's business. So I get the privilege. Matter of fact, tonight, I'm going to launch here in a second. We're going to reverse order. I'm going to go, and then our son Blake is going to come up, and then my gorgeous wife is going to come, and you're going to be blown away. And after you hear them speak, you'll never want to hear me speak again, which will be really good. But I've got to run. I've got another team that we have the potential to reach 100,000 leaders in this organization, and I'm meeting with the top people tonight, so I'm fired up about that. I love you. I am so glad you're here. We're going to start with prayer online. Welcome to G5. We're so glad you're here. Leadership is incredible. I promise you right now, no one has ever said, I have too many leaders. No one's ever said that. We're always trying to figure out how to develop quicker, mobilize quicker, retool people quicker. Matter of fact, in organizations, if you're running a company and you're hiring people, or if you're trying to get a next level job, sometimes it's not the best for you to tell them your experience, because your experience equals baggage, and they're trying to move much faster. So they'll know when they talk to you, and we're going to give you cutting edge information. Is that all right? And so I'm fired up about it. I'm a weird dude because I'm a pastor and I'm a business leader, and I've built multiple companies, and I've had so much fun. Last time I counted, to the glory of God, I've helped about 47 people start their own companies and build to an area that they fly around on private jets. So tonight I want to talk to you about your potential. So let's pray. God, open our hearts, open our minds. May we learn, may we grow, may we stretch. Would we see ourselves as you see us? In your name I pray. Jesus, amen. Have you ever thought about your potential? Your potential? Do you have any idea what your potential is? In business, they will tell you if you can grow a company by 3%, you can outperform anybody else in the marketplace. The secret to life is, how do you get people that are so full of potential to operate in their potential? Whether it's a dad, whether it's a son or a daughter or a spouse, how do I get into my potential? I can tell you this, that your desire to reach your potential is what separates you from everyone else. So if I sit down with you right now, I would love to ask you, what is your potential? What is it that's out there that you could do that you haven't done, that you don't need to even rely on yesterday to get you where you need to go? That's weird. Because let me tell you what most of you have been taught. You get a good education, you get a good job, and then you're going to be free until you get your first paycheck. And they forgot to tell you about taxes. They forgot to tell you about FICA. They forgot to tell you about insurance. They forgot to tell you, and all of a sudden you're going, whoa, 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 whoa. And here's what most people end up doing with their lives. They end up trading dollars for hours. And they get caught on a treadmill. And if you've ever been there, it can be one of the most frustrating things you've ever seen in your life. We don't put anybody down at that, but let me tell you what you do need to know. Social Security did a report and found out that 100 men at age 20, they interviewed them, and only 5 out of the 100 had clear goals. And those that had clear goals outperformed the other 95 by well over 80%. A goal. It's a dream. It's a vision. Your desire to reach your potential. Now, a lot of people spiritualize this and go, well, I'm just what I am. And no, God made you way more than what you know. And the greatest day in your life, Chinese proverb, is the moment when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. In your life, you got to see this. So I've studied human performance on corporations and companies. I stood in the middle of Microsoft with Ken Turner, the COO, and I said, what's your greatest challenge? Here's what he said to me. We're doing 74 billion right now, but we can double. I said, well, that sounds like an opportunity, not a challenge. He goes, yeah, but the people don't believe it. And I'm the organ they can reject and turn away from because I'm working hard to get them there. See, most of you, I don't know in your life if you've ever had anybody take a moment with you and help you uncover your gifts, your talents, your sweet spots, the place in your life where you absolutely were meant to be. My place in this world. When you find it, it makes your life so different. A lot of people run on a lot of different careers. They chase money instead of chasing purpose. And when you get in your purpose, it makes all the difference in the world. How hungry you are to reach your potential is so important for you. Your desire to reach it is what separates you. Your hunger to reach it is what separates you again. Because a lot of people want something, they don't want to do what it takes to get it. So if you're running a company, you're going to figure this out. So in your life right now, it doesn't matter if you're 8 years old or if you're 80 years old. If you're breathing, you're not done. There's something in you that the world needs. And I know that is Jesus, but it's more than that. It's the gift and the talent and the deposit that you can make in another person's life. The younger you are when you find that, the more direction and clarity you have in your life. You're no longer a wandering generality. Here's what I've noticed about people in my years of training and equipping. Most people tolerate their lives. They don't lead their lives. They tolerate it. I had a friend of mine, he had a dog, and he would sit on the front porch, and all the time, he would just sit there and go, "Rrr." And I finally went to him, and I said, what's wrong with your dog? He said, he's sitting on a nail. I said, well, why doesn't he move? He said, because it doesn't hurt bad enough. A lot of times, the only time you and I change and move in our lives is when it hurts bad enough, where it gets to the point I can no longer take it. Do you realize your potential? And I think all of us would agree with this, that none of us are living at our potential. And there's a really great chance that if you don't get in your potential, that those around you will never get in theirs. When I was a young boy, I was about 18 or 19 years old, and I operated in a world that was very cliquey. Pastors were cliquey, denominations were cliquey, business owners were cliquey. There were cliques. Everybody just worked hard to get in that clique. And I remember I wasn't working so hard to get in that clique. I just got in that clique. And when I got in that clique, that association, I looked around and went, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. Matter of fact, it was in Calcutta, India that I was sitting there. We were doing $300 million a year in aid around the world, pastoral support. It was crazy what God was allowing us to do. And I woke up, and my mentor, Larry Ward, who started Food for the Hungry and left it. His mentor was Bob Pierce, who started World Vision, and his other friend was a guy that started a Bible company. And in Calcutta, just before meeting Mother Teresa, I looked at him and said, why am I so empty? It took an 85-year-old man a few years ago to look me in the eye and say, your whole life has been what you could do outside of you. And God's interested what he can do inside of you. So I want to invite you. I want to challenge you. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're probably going to have to get off the nail, but I believe that it will absolutely change everything in your life. Attitude, not just intelligence, is what causes you to reach your potential. If you've ever led people, if you've ever managed people, which there is such a difference between managing and leadership, just so different. But here's what I can tell you. If you've ever been in a position to care for other people, it will frustrate you to no end to see the potential that are in people, but where they won't pay the price to get it. It's always denying yourself and picking up a cross. So if I ask you right now, on a number between 1 and 10, where are you living in your potential? Are you in your potential? Is everything inside of you fully alive? Can I just ask you a question? Have you ever done something in your life that it was work, but it didn't feel like work? You had so much fun, you almost lost count of time. You loved it so much. I was meeting with a friend of mine the other day, a young man that I've mentored, and he's been mega successful in the field that he's in. But he looked at me and he said, can I just tell you, I'm done. I can't find any meaning in my work. I found out that people are not tired because of hard work. I found out they're tired because of meaningless work. Meaningless work. How does this matter? And so in your life, you've got to ask yourself, whatever number you wrote down between 1 and 10, I think we can all agree that I'm not fully living. That's why everything at G5, when you plug in, you're online, you're in a family room, you're here, we are very strategic about how we plant seeds in the hearts of people so that you will grow and there will be blessing in your life if you plant and you keep watering that seed. You got to keep watering it. So you can't climb into your potential without high desire. Desire. So here's what I want to do. Can I just, for a second, in football, we used to shake their helmets. Can I just rattle your helmet just for a second and go, hey, how much desire do you have? And do you hang around people that have desire? You will become what the 5 closest people in your life are. Look at the 5 closest people in your life right now. That's why the association at G5 is so critical. But if you don't get into the environment, you will never experience the body. And God doesn't just distribute his gifts to individuals. He puts them through the body. That's why the arm and the leg and the foot are so important in the body. So you need desire. The second thing is you need art, A-R-T. You need accountability, responsibility, and teachability. Accountability, responsibility, and teachability. I appreciate you taking notes tonight. Here's why. As we move and as this church explodes, I'm going to need you to know this, and don't come into the environment and use yesterday's information. It's like training your children to buy a horse and buggy when we're now in a jet age. So it's not what you know that's going to get you where you need to be. It's what you don't know that you're not ready to accept. I got to move. Now, just so you know, I have credibility in this. I have 12 men in my life that I don't make a major move without calling and checking with them. I had one man when I was 21 years old challenge me and say, beware of the barrenness of an unexamined life. I just want to encourage you to have it. And by the way, it's my responsibility to reach, not your responsibility to reach. What I mean by that is if I need mentorship, if I need help, I need to reach out. And I got to tell you, it is amazing how sometimes it can be so hard to do that. So how do I do that? I'm going to give you 5 real quick. Are you ready? And then we'll do 5 sometime else. Number 1, be all you can see. Be all you can see. Start with where you are, use what you have, and do all you can. Thank you for texting me and coming up to me and saying, oh man, I needed that last night. So many young guys were like, I'm ready. There's nothing like a person who's on fire and hungry and ready to be lit up. There's something so fresh about somebody that is humble and teachable and pliable. And they set an example for other people to see. It's not what you know. It's not even what you teach. It's really how you live. Being is more important than doing, because who I am will determine what I do. So I want to encourage you to start where you are, with who you are, and be able to see yourself differently. I hope you'll get close enough at some point in time, and I'm getting ready to start here because God has really spoke to me about it. Online, I want to let you know this. I'm getting ready to start some personal coaching for people that are really ready to go to another level, that are ready for God to do something so big in them that they know they need to prepare and that they can't operate on yesterday's knowing. I've got to have fresh manna for fresh revival. I've got to be able to see it. So say to yourself, is this where I am right now, and where do I want to be? Matter of fact, I want you to get a piece of paper tonight, or do it on your smartphone or iPad. I want you to write down and put a line down the middle, and on the left side, I want you to put, this is what I want. And on the right side, put, this is what I don't want. If you can't figure out what you want, by the way, did you know spiritually that God says, I'll give you the desire of your heart? Did you know that? Did you know that God says, I will supply your need? He doesn't even define what your need is. And it wearies me when I see people try to get up and define what your need should be. You find out what it is that you want. But here's what you got to do. I pray you'll write this down. Don't tolerate living beneath the capacity and the blessing. Don't tolerate it. Step into it. You can grow. You can say right now, I'm not all I need to be. I'm not all I'm going to be, but I'm going to grow. Do you know the single greatest miracle in all the world is I can be tomorrow what I am not today? I just want to encourage you to stop listening to the voices inside of you that say, I'm not gifted, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. At G5, we recently have had so many new people coming, but when you come, I want you to meet my friend Dennis. Dennis has probably been here a month, but Dennis walked up with a spirit of humility and honor and said, I'd like to serve. I'd like to serve. He's displaying that he's a real leader. You see, I see a lot of people that want leadership positions. Oh, put me in the position, but they don't know how to serve. And if you don't know how to serve, you'll never understand hospitality. Hospitality. Wow. What would happen in our businesses, in our lives, if we could really get hospitality down? I loved it. Dale and Kathy, they brought their friends on Sunday, and you guys were amazing. You were loving on them, caring for them. They'd gone to another church. I want all churches to grow. I want all churches to grow, okay? But he said, I just want to let you know, at lunch, he told Dale, he said, those people really love each other. Well done. But you have to see yourself that way. You have to see yourself winning. You have to see yourself becoming. You've got to see yourself serving and watching what can happen in your life. Here's what I can tell you. The seeds of comparison are the seeds of failure. So I'm going to encourage you not to do that in your life. The future belongs to the bold. The future belongs. By the way, did you know this? In the room right now, what separates you from everybody else in this room is your picture of tomorrow. Your picture of you, your picture of your marriage, your picture of your family. See, you have to be careful in life. And I've watched this with leaders so many times. Sometimes it's the owner of the company that is keeping the company from growing. I tell God every day of my life, God, don't ever let me be the reason, the lid, that G5 and you can't be all you were created to be. It's not an environment of judgment. It's an environment of inspiration. Do you understand how different that is? Because people feel judged and measured and put down. We got none of that in us. What we have is we just want you to see yourself the way God sees you. And we're going to challenge you. And by the way, I have some integrity in this because my beautiful wife told me about 20 years ago, I have no special gift. And yet, she's got gift after gift after gift after gift. She now has written 16 books. She speaks all over the world. She trains other leaders. And it's exciting. So I just got a question for you, and then I'm going to move on, okay? Can I just ask you a question? Just write it down. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Just write it down. Don't even put my name on it. Just ask yourself, when people are in my presence, how many of them feel a desire to be more and do more and become more? Number 2, you ready? I'll move faster now, okay? Are you ready? If you're ready, say I'm ready. Keep stretching. Keep stretching. Comfort is the enemy to growth. I got used to this. And you're going to find out that in your life, everybody's going to try to come into your life, into your company, into your organization, and they're going to try to get it to be the way they used to do it. Do you know why? Because it's comfortable. But comfortable is the enemy to longevity. I've been noticing in my life that it's a little bit more of an effort to make the champion inside of me stand up instead of the McDonald's eating guy to sit down. Do you know what I'm talking about? So you just got to keep growing and keep stretching. So can I give you 7 questions to ask about stretching? I may not get all these in tonight, so we'll be fine. Here it is. Are you ready? We're not stretching if you say this, well, we've always done it this way. Don't you not like that? One day a wife at Christmas cut the ends of the ham off and put it in the oven. Her husband came to her and said, why did you cut the ends off the ham? She said, well, my mom always did that. She said, well, let's call your mom and find out. Well, her mom said, well, my mom always did that. They called their grandmother and said, why did you cut the ends off the hand? She said, because my oven was not big enough. So you got to be careful that your oven is not being the judgment of your life and you're staying shrunk instead of coming out. And I want to tell you this because I love you. My name is PT. Your greatest enemy in your life is you. And I just want to say to you, you're going to get really mad at me in the room right now. Online, please, I beg you. This has been a secret in my life. As I have aged up, I went and got younger and younger and younger mentors. Oh, I didn't walk in going, I know everything. I walked in going, help me understand your generation. Do you realize how different the younger generation is from you? Your points of reference, the commercials you know, the songs you sing. It is amazing. Are you stretching? Number 2, we tried that once before. You're not in a growing environment, a stretching environment, if you're saying that. Number 3, it won't work. Number 4, it's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility. Number 5, it can't be done. That's a little trick speakers do to just see if you're paying attention. Number 2, we tried that once before. I'll give you a runway here. Is that all right? Number 3, it won't work. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Time out 1 second.
You missed the call. It was supposed to be at 7, so you have all the time.
Oh my goodness. I told him it was 8. I thought that was 7 his time. Okay, well, then we got time. Are you ready? Woo! You shouldn't have told me that. You shouldn't have told me that. Oh my goodness. We've always done it this way before. Did you get that? We tried that once before. It won't work. Number 4, are you ready? It's not my responsibility. Boy, this destroys companies. If you see it, serve it. Ritz-Carlton has a $2,000 limit that if anybody sees somebody with a need, they can spend up to $2,000. Do you know why? They found out that in the lifetime of that customer will bring $200,000 into their bank account. And they're saying, let's be willing to meet the need in a person. But what about us? Well, it inconvenienced me. I just want to tell you, this is very important what I'm going to say right now, okay? If you show up and will work harder than they expect, and then they reward you because you did it, you're in a good place. But if you show up and give more than they ask, and over time they act like you're not doing anything, I would encourage you to look around. Because you've got to have a culture of honor. A culture of honor. And for you to keep growing and for you to become all that you were created to be, you have to feel appreciated and you have to feel noticed. That is so critical. In hospitality, I'm going to do a session on it here. It's so critical because the goal of hospitality, guess what it is? We want people to be seen. We want people to be seen. Number 5, it can't be done. Number 6, it's not my fault. Number 7, we might fail. I'm going to give you one more. Can I give you one more? And then we'll move. I'm too old or I'm too young. No. Leadership is not an age thing, it's a maturity thing. It's a maturity thing. I just want to encourage you, stay in a growth environment. Number 3, accept the challenges of the mission. Accept the challenges of the mission, the position or the problem. Accept the challenges of the mission. One of the things that I love doing in my life is walking with people that don't have an easy mission. There's a lot of infighting, there's a lot of ego involved, you got to learn how to navigate that with love and with strength. Are you with me? So you got to learn that. Come to find out, most of us just don't naturally know this stuff, and come to find out above that, most people have never taken time to teach it. So we got to learn it. All potential success has connected to it problems and pressure. Problems and pressure. And I believe we could absolutely make a case tonight that the bigger the problems you're able to take on, the more financial blessings you will have. So try to see something in this world where there's a need. By the way, there's more need now than there's ever been. I believe that if God tarries, in the next 20 years, we will see the largest corporations ever built in America and the world. It's going to happen. And I believe we're going to have a seed sown in this field and this garden that God's going to bring people that can grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, family. Every area of your life, your faith, your future, all of it is going to be so critical. So I want to tell you that most leaders don't reach their potential because they run from challenges instead of solve challenges. They look for the easy way out. I would encourage you to have somebody that can stand with you, that can help you navigate the uncomfortable things you've got to navigate. Now, I'm going to encourage you right here tonight, when you go home to do some homework, I want you to write down 5 things that right now you are neglecting or putting off because it seems hard. It may be a conversation. It may be something you need to do. I would just encourage you in your life to do it. There are 3 zones you're going to find in your life. Number 1 is the challenge zone, and that's where you reach new levels. You get fresh vision, and you get fresh fire. The next zone is the comfort zone, and it's where we get in a comfortable place, and we stop doing what we did do to be great. Number 3 is a very dangerous place, and that's a coasting zone. I'm just going to coast through this. I don't want any challenges. Matter of fact, right now you'll see people that try to go get jobs and they'll say, I don't want any pressure, right? But I just want to tell you, if you want to win and you want to win big, be willing to take on the problems or walk with people who are going through them. Number 4, learn to trust your gut, but keep your eye on the game. Trust your gut, but keep your eye on the game. Sometimes you'll have to go against the experts. You'll have to go against the experts. They'll bring you all the facts to try to keep you from reaching your dream. But if you're going to get into your potential, you're going to have to go, you know what? I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to be wise. Wise is he with many counselors. But I got to trust my gut on this one. That's what I did 12 years ago when I came out here and there was nothing here. And all the experts said, you're crazy. There's nothing out here. I said, I don't know. At the time, we didn't know they were going to build this stuff out here. We didn't know they were going to put all this stuff in. We came out with a vision and a mission, and how many of you know we didn't have to go to the world came to us. But we strategically are right there to meet a need. Boy, that's the hand of God. And I want that for your life. I want you to find yourself that your steps are so ordered of the Lord that you will find yourself being in places that you never thought you could be. So in your life, an expert is somebody who will know tomorrow why the thing they said would happen today did not. I'll let that go. Okay? An expert, they've seen it before, but sometimes they don't have the heart to follow it. It's not for the faint of heart. There are going to be challenges. If you read your Bible, go read it. It says, in this life you will have some trials and tribulations, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. Number 5, and I am going to finish. Woohoo! Are you ready? Number 5, have great expectations. That's another word for faith, by the way. Believe the best. Expect the best. Think big. Get around people that make you think big. Matter of fact, I encourage you to get around people a little bit that absolutely irritate you. It just happened. How many of you saw Uncle Donald here in his Ralph Lauren coveralls? And by the way, I'm so fired up about it. I'm going to buy me a pair. I'm so fired up about it. Anyhow, we were sitting down on the porch with a bunch of leaders, and out of nowhere, Donald and his company in 1 week doubled his income without doing any more work. And we're sitting there, and Donald's kind of celebrating. And another leader looked at him and said, well, why don't you go double it again? I'm like, ooh, hey, this is, whoa. He's going, hey, if you could double it, maybe they're waiting for you to double it again. How many do you have in your life that just irritate you a little bit? Because when you think you've done something great, they go, hey. But can I tell you, there's nothing more exciting in your life than growing, than becoming, than doing more than you thought you possibly could do. So I want to encourage you to dream big, have a vision, expect great things, attempt big things. It's hard to reach your potential being negative. Being negative. And here's what I want to encourage you to do. Guard your energy. That is probably the most important thing I've said all night tonight. Guard your energy, because fatigue makes cowards of us all. And you will shut down, and you will want to go run and hide instead of run into it. And so I just encourage you, guard your energy. Just watch your energy, because somebody that is discouraged or depressed or their energy is low has a really hard time fighting. I love you. I can't wait to see you get into your potential more. We're going to have so much fun growing together. I am so proud of my son. I've took him with me since he was 2 years old. He would sit in the front of Coliseums where I was speaking, or Zig Ziglar was there, or any great leader that has ever lived. And he got to rub arms with them, ask questions. They poured into him. And tonight you're going to hear what has been poured into him. Will you please make Blake Goad welcome, man. Love you, Blake.
Check. Can you hear me? There we go. I went to grab my water, and I feel like I'm going to do PT. Hi, my name's PT. It's on my cup, you know. Mom wrote PT on my bottle. I like it. I channel my inner dad right now. It's going to be awesome. How y'all doing tonight? Y'all doing good? How did you enjoy PT? Did you all like what my dad just gave y'all? It was, I loved watching everybody's perspectives, because they were like, wait, PT's going first? It was really cool to see, but it was awesome, guys. But guys, I'm excited for tonight. It is G5 Leadership. I am excited to be here. Guys, I'm going to, should I start, do I do a joke? Do we do my joke that I always do since? Okay, I got to do my joke. So this farmer was driving his horse and buggy down the road to go get a bale of hay from the store, okay? And all of a sudden, he had a head-on collision with his horse with a car. It hit the horse, and his wagon, and everything got destroyed. And obviously, the ambulance came and took him, and then they were in the court a few months later trying to figure out, his side of the story and what was going on. And he was giving his, testimony of whatever you call it in court, right? And he's talking about it, and he goes, the lawyer comes up and says, "Sir, I just have a question for you about, your perspective on the scenario." He goes, "Okay." He goes, "Here it says here, when the officer came over to ask you how you were, it says you were doing awesome." And he said, "I'm just confused because you had a head-on collision with a car. I'm just confused why you're saying you're awesome if, you had that accident." He goes, "Sir, I can explain it to you perfectly." He goes, "Okay." He says, "When the state trooper rolled up to the scene, he said my horse and my dog were over in the field, and my horse had broken all 4 of his legs, and his horse was trying to stand up, but he couldn't because he was in so much pain. So the state trooper, out of the act of mercy, went over and put the horse out of his misery. And he said now he saw that my dog was hurt, and he went over and saw my dog broke his back, so he put my dog out of his misery. And he said all of a sudden he saw that he was walking towards me with his gun, and the officer said, 'Sir, how are you?' And he goes, 'I'm doing awesome, sir.' He said, so that I was just trying to stay alive, He said, I didn't want to get put out of my misery." So, but how many know I love the innocence of trying to stay alive, right? It is awesome. But how many of you know that in that moment, I'm glad he was not the horse or the dog, right? It's awesome. But guys, I'm going to jump right in tonight. Tonight, I want to talk about how to do life with people. How to do life with people. So I love this. I just wanted to share this with you real quick. And it was a crazy study. It's that the human brain cannot comprehend the negative. And I'll give you an example. If I say, don't think about a giraffe, did you all just think about a giraffe, right? Aw. But if I say, you focus on the path you're walking down, how many of you know you will focus on the path and not the obstacles going down the path? So how many of you know perspective is everything? How you see something is everything. So when you're dealing with people, how many know people need to know you care? They need to know you care. So one of the amazing things is, this is a thing that we have found out over the years, is point number 1 is how you view people the first time you meet them is a self-reflective of how you see yourself. The perspective you have on when you meet people the first time is how you see yourself. Now, another way to say this is your self-esteem will determine your perspective of people. So I want to ask you a question. You don't have to raise your hand. You don't have to speak out loud, but I want you to ask yourself this question. How am I doing? Where is my self-esteem at? Now, how many of you know you all just started doing self-evaluation, right? You all started processing where you're at, how you're doing. But how many of you know in the last couple of weeks, you all have thought of a scenario where the perspective that you have of somebody got put on somebody, and you look at it and you're like, wait, that's the perspective I have of me. Do you understand what I'm saying? How many know the perspective you have will determine the perspective you see of other people? Number 2, I'm going to go very quick because I'm excited because I get to bring my amazing mother up here tonight. So I hope you take notes when she talks because I'm going to definitely be taking notes. But number 2 is who you are. This is a question for you. Who are you when you are with them? Who are you when you are with them? So how many of you know, my dad says this all the time, but how many of you know if you all were here for when we were talking about when Brian and all these guys were here a couple weeks ago, and he talked about Uncle Donald that was here in the denim jeans or with the denim overalls. How many of you know, I can tell you for a fact, Uncle Donald is the same person as he is here as when he goes home. So I want to ask you, who are you when you go anywhere? Are you the same person at home as you are when you go out? Okay? Now here's something that I want to encourage you on. This is something that's crazy. When you're with people, if you're with somebody, now look, I'll give you an example. I love Jen. She's awesome. But if you go hang out in front of the breezeway out here, your self-esteem instantly feels better, and you instantly want to match her energy when you're up there, right? We call her the cheerleader. Now, if you go hang out with somebody, thank God we don't have anybody like this at church. At least I haven't seen him yet. But how do you know who Eeyore is from Winnie the Pooh? I stubbed my toe in the bathroom yesterday, and I am just having a miserable week. How many of you know your self-esteem changes when you're around people that you're hanging with? Now, the perspective on everything. Now, here's what I'm going to encourage you. How you see those people determines how you help those people grow. I did a talk a few months ago, and I said that one of the things I was talking about is trust your first impressions of people. And then my second point was don't always trust your first impressions of people. Because sometimes, people, like I was saying, which is sad, is they're not always the same person everywhere they go. So what I'm trying to ask of y'all is I want to encourage you is make sure you're the same person you say you are, that your actions match up. Now I want to encourage you something. I want you to ask yourself this. Is your self-esteem built up enough that you are able to be the same person everywhere you go? Because your perspective of yourself will determine how you act wherever you go. Now, I think she'll be okay if I say this, but it's nothing bad. But I remember when I was a little kid, my amazing grandparents, my grandmother wasn't the biggest dreamer. And I remember that my mom had a very hard time with, my dad always taught me, and so my mom, how my sister and how to dream. But my grandmother didn't know what to do when we would dream and have these big goals and stuff, right? But how many of you know when my mother got out of the environment of my grandmother not knowing how to dream, and she started being around my dad who dreamed so big, it changed her perspective and changed my mom's self-esteem of going, I can dream and achieve this, and if I don't achieve it, that just means that I get to go after it again. To where I love my grandmother. Don't get me wrong, my grandmother and my grandfather, they're some of my heroes. But if I went to achieve something and I didn't get it, she'd be like, didn't get it, too bad, move on. I was like, Grandma, I'm going to go for it again. And she would just shut it down. But I love my grandma, but here's what it did. It taught me how to not let other people's opinions of what their self-esteem was determine who I am. So what I'm saying is when you're dealing with people, don't put your self-esteem on other people. Put what you want to see in people on them. So if you see somebody coming up and they're dragging and they're walking up to church, you walk up to them and go, hey, I'm so proud of you. Welcome to G5. We're so glad you're here. Instead of being, well, I went to McDonald's yesterday and I ordered a Big Mac and got a McChicken instead. Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for where you are, okay? How many know we just had this amazing storm come through? Did you notice I said amazing storm and not terrible storm? Because how many of you know this storm, yes, it had effects on people, but what doesn't hurt you will make you stronger. This storm will make this city, this country stronger. I encourage you, and I am so proud of it. But I want to encourage you, when you're around, who are you around them? But also, I want you to ask clarifying questions when you're with people. Ask questions. I know I talk about it all the time, but I ask so many questions, and it used to drive my mom nuts. My favorite question when I was a kid was that breakfast or dinner or lunch? Which one was it? Because I didn't know. I wanted to make sure I got all 3 meals in, you got to get them all in. Talon knows what I mean. He makes sure he gets all 12 meals in. It's awesome. But how many of you know if you ask questions, you get the answers sometimes you want? More than anything, asking questions gets you out of your shell. And I'll give you an example. Jen, she has no problem getting out of her shell. But how many of you know you can be Miss Jen over here who's amazing, but you can also be Eeyore, but still asking the questions will change your perspective on people. And here's what questions are good for. Questions are good for 2 things. It's for you to understand and for people to get uncomfortable. And you're saying, why is it good for our people to get uncomfortable? Because if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. Get uncomfortable. And I want to encourage you, this is something huge. Ask uncomfortable questions. Number 3, this is huge, okay? Number 3 is massive. After you have an interaction with people, how do you leave them feeling? There was a quote, and I want to read you this quote, and it was massive. I love this quote. And it simply says this. It simply says, please update your phone. No, sorry. The quote is, I love this quote, and I said this quote a long time ago, but this is huge. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. And how you leave others feeling after an interaction is your trademark. How do you leave people feeling when they leave your presence? I love what my dad says. Every time he talks to somebody at church, he wants to make sure that people feel loved and heard. I want to encourage you, when you're having a conversation with people, I want to make sure when I'm talking with people that I listened more than I talked. And if I did talk, it's because they asked questions that led me to talk. I don't ever pour into somebody's life unless I have permission to share with them. So I want to encourage you, listen and ask, okay? How you leave them feeling? Yeah. I love when I love Apple so much. They decide to rewrite my notes for me. It's great. It's awesome. But I love those. Loving and meeting them where they are leads them to where they're called to be. That's huge. I love this. Lead with kindness, extend love, and represent hope. People can't live 2 seconds without hope. Do you give hope wherever you go? Do you give hope? I love this. Live your life as an example of how to love people. And finally, the fourth point is relationships take time. And you're saying, Blake, how did you go from talking to people to relationships? I want to encourage you, everything you do in life comes down to relationships. And you're saying, Blake, well, I've just been dealing with this relationship and it's so hard, it takes forever. And I've been praying for patience on this. And I'll encourage you, one of the things you don't want to do is pray for patience. Well, you do, and if you do, God be with you. I can tell you that right now. But here's what I have found. If you pray for patience, God will put you in a season to learn patience. He won't give you patience. If you pray on how to lead people, He will put you in a scenario on how to lead people. If you pray on how to lift weights better, He'll give you a talent. For y'all that don't know Talon loves to lift weights. And he thinks he could beat me in a wrestling match, which was, I'll smoke him later. It's okay. But I want to encourage you. I didn't write this down, but I want to encourage you on this. When you're with people in this world nowadays are suffering and they're dying. Not physically, but emotionally are drowning. And one of the greatest things you can do for them is laugh alongside them. Laughter is one of the greatest cures for sadness. So I want to encourage you, if you can laugh at yourself, people will love you and talk to you so much more. And I'm telling you right now, my mom was so nervous, and so was Aunt Farmer, because they were like, oh my gosh, did he spell all this correctly? Is he saying it correctly? But how do you know? I can laugh at myself and go, I can't spell the greatest. But it is fun, because sometimes I get the funniest words out of it. It is awesome. But I want to encourage you all to love people where they're at, but don't put them in a box. See the potential that you wish that people saw in you, in other people. But I am so grateful that my parents saw the potential in me at a young age, that they said, hey, we're going to encourage you. We're going to push you forwards. And my greatest thing that my parents let me and my sister do is make mistakes and learn from the mistakes that we made. Because what they did was say, hey, we got your back, but you also have to learn on your own how to come back when you trip. I am so grateful. But with that, I am going to close because I was not going to be long tonight. And I'm going to bring my amazing mother up here because, you know what? I'm just going to bring her up before I start crying. So would you please help me welcome my amazing mom? I almost wanted to say your full name, but I was like, I don't get your Mama G here at church. So
Lou, that is so awesome. You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Check,
Hello,
check.
we're going to talk
So I'm
up
going to
here.
give her talk now, guys. This is going to be awesome, but do you want this? Because I did drink out of it.
No, I'm great. Thank you so much. Please.
She's so embarrassed that
You're
I'm still
so
standing
right.
here right now.
Go. Oh, that's right. Wait. Oh, well. I don't usually like this table because it's like this. Everybody else is talking. It's okay. I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm good. It'll stretch me. Yeah. So, there you go. I don't want to be too long because I know your tails are going, okay, these chairs, these aren't the most comfortable chairs, and you're going, I can only take so much leadership. So I won't be long, but I want to talk to you about something. You know me and my titles. Anybody that knows me, I got to have a creative title. It can't be boring. If it is, it's not me. But this title is The Walk That Talks. The Walk That Talks. I don't know if you've ever noticed how different people's walks are. PT and I were watching a movie the other day, and it was a famous actor, and we both were like, I never realized how bow-legged the way he was walking, I don't even know how he was walking, like bow-legged. He was like this walking. And it's funny how there's different walks. I mean, you can have a walk of someone, truthfully, that's very cocky. They got a cocky walk. You can have someone that has a swag, which to me is kind of cocky because they think they're it in a bag of potato chips. You can have a Hollywood walk, where, yes, I don't know if you've ever, I can only watch a few minutes of the red carpet, when they show the red carpet. I'm like, oh my gosh, really, people, I'm going to be real. Sometimes PT gets nervous because I get too real, but, never mind, I can't get that real. But they ain't no different than me and you just because they just spent 12 hours. I mean, I could look like that too if somebody spent 12 hours getting my makeup ready and my hair ready. I could walk like that too any day of the week. But, I'm up there getting ready in 5 minutes because PT says we got to go. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, right? There's different walks. And there's a confident walk. And I call that the PT walk. PT has this walk. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Sometimes I try to wish I could figure out who's on camera. They're going to hate me. I'm so sorry. I'll walk. I'm like a tennis match. Okay. He just has this walk when he walks in a room. There's just something about it. It says something. I was thinking about it the other day because we were going through the movies and that movie, Wedding Crashers, came on. I'm like, babe, you could so crash a wedding. They would so think you were the groom. I mean, he could walk in a room and just act like he belonged there and start talking to people. And how do I know you? Oh, you don't remember me. I'm your cousin Vinny. I mean, right? Because he has that walk that says something. I mean, we've gone into places before. I'm like, babe, how do we get in here? He goes, just hang in there with me, baby. They don't know. And he walks in a store, and I'm like, how does everybody in this store know you? He goes, I've never been in this, but they know you. But it's because of how you walk. Because your walk talks. Your walk talks. And you get to decide what your walk says. You get to decide what it says. For years, before I met my amazing husband, lived in a timid walk. I walked with my head down. I walked in a room. Many people that know me, I found a corner. I was called the corner girl. I went to whatever corner looked good, so nobody would talk to me, nobody would look at me, and when everything was over, I could walk out, and I conquered. I was good. And I walked in a timid walk. This is the crazy thing. My timid walk spoke something that was not even who I was. I will never forget the day that someone walked up to me, a girl, and said, you think you're so good, you're so stuck up. And I was like, well, I'm the last thing to ever think of somebody stuck up. She goes, but no, the way you walk and the way you act, you look stuck up. I never realized that my timid walk spoke that. A question is, what does your walk speak? What does it say? What does it say about you? Leadership is a very hard thing, and it requires strength to walk the right way. It just does. The bottom line is this: you don't get a day off. And if you and I decide that we're going to walk in our feelings and walk what we dealt with today, we're going to not have a good day. I was talking to a lady one day, and we were coaching, and she's like, I just don't understand. I don't ever feel like I fit in. Well, first of all, my thing is I don't want anyone to fit in, because if you're fitting into the world, have you noticed the world standards? But her thing was she wanted to fit in, and she wanted people to like her. And she said, I don't understand. Well, we started uncovering, and I started talking to her. And I got to be honest because I observed her. And I said, you don't understand. You walk around like a victim 24/7, and no one wants to be in your presence. And she was like, I never even thought about that. I said, no, you got to understand. You have got to realize that just because you're walking, you don't think it's saying anything, and it's saying everything. Have you ever had somebody tell you something and you go, yeah, this was always my line. The kids knew this. I go, the proof is in the pudding. You can tell me all day long, but until I see it. So the deal is we don't understand. We can talk it all day long, but it's our walk that makes a difference. And so I was really able to help her because this is the deal. Your walk is the speaker for your talk. Your walk is the speaker. I don't know if you've noticed, but PT, he loves him some sound. Like, we got speakers. So these over here are subwoofers. Woofers. I didn't say it right. Now, we have to be careful what we put on it on a Sunday morning, and especially a Tuesday fire. Many a time has whatever's on that subwoofer, it has done this and fallen to the ground. We've had water explosions. We've had everything over here because of the sound, the speaker. Your walk is a speaker. It is saying what you truly are, and we've got to understand the power of a speaker. Bree, our daughter, goes so many times to sing and lead worship at other churches. And every time, I promise you, and I'm not cutting down churches, and X knows this, every time she'll text PT and I and go, oh my gosh, this sound in here is awful. Like, the sound engineer is awful. Where is Seth? And she's like, they can't hear me. It is muffled. I can't hear myself. I don't know what's going on. Because sound matters. And it speaks loudly. So I want to talk just a few seconds really quick about your walk. Number one, how loud is it? How loud is your walk? PT and I were speaking for a company one day, and the owner had his own airplane that PT actually helped him get. And I love when we do that. We help them get the planes, but we don't get to fly on them. Why is that? We're such giving people. But we're in the hangar speaking because he wanted everyone to see his new plane. So you got the plane in the background, and then you got all the chairs, and all the leaders are in there, and we're speaking. And PT's up speaking, and I'm sitting there, and it's going to be my turn to speak. And ladies, just help me here. So it's concrete floor. You're in a hangar. You got on high heels. You feel the need to go to the bathroom. Not me, this lady near me. What would you do? I don't know. I know what I do. I'm like this, like on my tiptoes. And men, if you've ever tried this, I hope you haven't. You're like this, trying not to make noise. I mean, almost to where you want to take your shoes off. Oh, no, not this woman. I'm telling you, it was unreal. She started over here, and the bathroom was way over there. And she's got those high heels, and everybody's looking at her, and I'm like, what in the world is this woman doing? She was a loud walker. That ain't the kind of talking I'm talking about walking. I don't want you to be that kind of walker. I want to know how loud really and truly is your walk. Are you speaking to people without speaking? When you walk, when you're here at G5. See, that's what I love about G5. I love all the new people that come. They're like, who are you people? And most of the time, it isn't a word we said. It's a walk, it's a hug, it's a smile, it's looking people in the eye. Have you ever noticed if you really look people in the eye, they're like, don't be looking me in the eye. We taught our kids to look people in the eye. We trained them because we were on the road every weekend. They were in front of 80,000 people, but this is the deal. All those people are great, but when you're on an elevator, that's the people that matter. When you're at a restaurant, and so we would train them. Every day we'd say, look us in the eye, and we would practice, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. And we'd shake, and they'd have to shake hard, and they'd look them right in the eye. I loved watching grown adults on an elevator when our kids would look them in the eye and go, how are you doing? They'd be like, who are you? I mean, they didn't know what to do. But it's because that said something. Just their look. When you come to G5, just the look, just the love. How loud is your walk? How loud? You get to decide. Number 2, how far does it reach? How far does your walk reach? It shouldn't just be one little thing you did today. It should reach miles. I am amazed. I think that PT and I can go, I don't know, we love to go to Italy. And I promise you, somewhere in Italy, somebody knows that man. They do. And I'm like, how do they know you? I saw you in a Coliseum years ago, and you changed my life. I'm like, we're in Italy, honey. I know, because his walk reaches everywhere. What do I mean by that? Sometimes we think, well, maybe our walk should matter at work, and it should. Maybe our walk should matter at church, because you got to put up the church face after you just about killed each other in the car before you walked into church, right? But your walk matters at the gas station. Your walk matters, ladies, at the grocery store. Your walk matters everywhere. It matters. How far does your walk reach? And if you don't say a word, what does your walk do for people? Ask yourself. And it matters. And Tim taught me, PT, sorry. We have so many people that still call him Tim. I had lunch with a friend today. She knows him as Tim. And I kept going, Tim, PT, Tim, PT. I'm like, I don't even know what to say anymore. It's like, because here he's PT. But how he's taught me so much of how much it matters. If my head is down and I'm in my world and I'm how I feel, I'm affecting the people I'm walking around with. What does your walk say, and how far does it reach? I look at our servant leaders here. You have no idea how much what you do makes a difference. All our men that are on these walls, you don't understand. As a pastor's wife, I literally want to cry every Sunday. You have no idea. Because for years, we had no one. When it was a serve day, it was the 4 goats and about 3 other people. When it was time, people don't even know this. I was in the cafe with another friend preparing the food for 7 years. I never was in a church service for 7 years. The only church service her and I ever came into was Christmas Eve, and it's because we didn't serve food. We prepared the food and listened to a little monitor on top of the refrigerator, and then church would be over and we would serve the food for 7 years. Why do I say all that? When I see men who are backing my husband and standing on this wall, you don't understand what your walk and how far it's reaching and what it's saying and how you're willing to say, I'm here. The ladies that come and serve, Heidi, who literally took the kitchen over for me because my husband said, can I please have my wife in church? I'll never forget the first Sunday I sat there. I was like, I don't know what to do. I haven't been in a church service. I just want you to understand how far your walk reaches if you'll let it. If you'll understand God wants to use you. And in your leadership, wherever you are. Leadership is not, listen, people say all the time, I'm not a leader. No, you are. Every single one of you are a leader, and it reaches, and it makes a difference. You have no idea how grateful we are that we have Xavier, X. You don't understand. We have prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. I got calluses, you want to see them, and prayed and prayed. And literally, PT and I, and Bree and I, and Blake would go, it's probably never going to happen. It's not going to happen. And who do you see up here? Right? But I love it because people go, I love him up there. He got that smile. And X doesn't have to say a word. He just got those dancing fingers. And now he stands. He only sits when PT preaches, and he stands. And he's like into it. And I mean, this up here is a big part of the worship. So it's his walk that is reaching everyone in this building and all the people outside. Your walk matters. I don't know how many more times I got to say it. Your walk matters. This is it, number 1. Number 3, can they understand it? Can they understand your walk? Are you confusing? Literally, sometimes you can be a little confusing You know, PT talks all the time, and it's so true about being predictable and being defendable and being dependable. Let me tell you, you don't want to be the person that's predictable and dependable in the wrong way. You ever had somebody you can go, oh, I can predict one thing. I sure don't know who I'm getting tomorrow. That's also being dependable and predictable. Don't be that person. Don't make your walk so confusing that people are like, oh boy, what's it going to be today? No, you need to walk and they know I'm going to get a person that maybe they went through you know what today, but they're going to walk because they are a victor and not a victim, and they're walking in God's grace, and they know that their walk is making a difference. Because let me tell you, you're going to pass by somebody that's going through way worse than you, and they need your walk to say something to them. I tell this story all the time. And I'll hurry, I'm so sorry. We were at the beach, and we decided to go to Einstein Bagel. We were with the kids. They were young. And Bree and I, we all get ready to walk into the bagel shop, and then there was a motorcycle. Now, I didn't hear it, and Bree didn't hear it, but you know that Blake and Tim heard it. I'm amazed at what men hear. Like, boom, 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 and then they're like, where was that? Like, he's that way, my gosh. All about the cars. So the motorcycle pulls up, and it was an older couple, literally in their late 70s. Actually, they weren't old, because if they're late 70s, right, PT, they're not old. They're young. They were mature. And they're on their motorcycle. So PT and Blake, before we go into Einstein, they're over there, and they're just having the time of their life talking to this couple. And they're just asking them question after question. And this couple is like, oh, you don't understand. We just love life. We have been on this bike. We have driven all the way to Phoenix, Arizona from Naples, Florida. I was like, what? And then we've done this trip, and we just love being together. And I mean, it was life after life. It was all about life. It was all about life. And we were just standing there, and finally the man says, I'm so sorry. We could stay here all day and talk to you, but my wife is going to be late for her chemo. Now, I want you to understand something. In that entire conversation, they never said a word about that. It was life-giving, up. What are we doing? Where are we going? It was amazing to listen. They weren't wallowing in what she had to go do. They were living in what they got to do. And that's where we get to decide. You have to decide, is your walk understandable or is it confusing? You get to decide. You get to be predictable. Listen to this. Hold on, I circle this quote. The greatest ability is dependability. The greatest ability is dependability. I want to read this scripture, Titus 2:7. Show yourself in all respects to be a model of good works, and in your teaching show integrity and dignity. And then in Galatians 6:9 and 10 it says, and let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we will sure reap if we not faint. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. You and I get to walk the way Jesus walked, and do you understand how powerful his walk was? There were many times he never said a word. His walk said it all. The last point I want to say is this. Does your walk, well, I got 2 points. Does your walk give hope or does it depress people? Does your walk give hope or does it depress people? Listen, people can hear theories and philosophy all day long, but if they watch you walk in the middle of whatever it is you're going through, it's going to give them hope. And you and I get to decide what. Have you ever been around someone and you are exhausted because you've heard of every medicine they're on, you've heard of every doctor appointment they went to, you heard of my car broke down, now my tires aren't, and you're going, I can't breathe. I'm exhausted. You don't even know what to say, right? You got to decide the walk. You've got to decide what you get to portray, and you get to do that really quick. Number 5, does your walk inspire people or does it help them fuel their excuses? This is huge. Does it inspire people or does it help them fuel their excuses? There should be 2 effects when you're in someone's presence. They either question that they're using excuses or they feel good about their excuses. When they're in your presence, do they feel good about their excuses or are they questioning about the fact that they have excuses? We get to decide. See, your excuses are just the lies your fears have told you. Your excuses are just the lies your fears have told you. And if we walk in them, the people walking with us will soon be doing the same thing. You and I, don't ever forget this. This is massive, massive, massive. Excuses make sure your life is the same as it was yesterday. Excuses make sure that your life is the same as it was yesterday. You know, it's interesting. I think sometimes people have to be careful because they can make their excuses and make them look like reasons, and yet it really is an excuse. So with PT, with me, I always made my excuses look like reasons. When he would say, babe, I'm telling you, you need to get up and speak. You have a gift to communicate. And I'm like, no, let me give you the reasons why I'm not good at this. And then actually what I thought was a reason was an excuse. Be careful that you don't live, because if you live and walk in your excuses, whoever's around you is going to learn to walk in their excuses. Either your spouse, your friends, God help you with your kids. If you are not careful and everything is an excuse, your kids are going to live the same way. Does your walk cause someone to grow? Does your walk cause someone to find their capacity? I'm going to talk 2 Saturdays from now for Girl Talk, and my title is No Vacancy. I'm filled to capacity. Don't stretch me anymore. No vacancy. No. I even have a no vacancy sign that's going to be blinking the whole time I talk. I'm all about my props now. Because every one of us have been there like, I'm done. You know the old motels where it says no vacancy? There's a reason there's no vacancy there. It should be shut down. But we all live with that no vacancy. God, I'm done. I'm done. But see, when you are willing to stretch your capacity, those around you watching your walk will do the same thing. Our kids, see, we can tell them all day long, growing up, you need to stretch your capacity. But if PT and I weren't willing, why would they do it? And we did. We taught them, listen, this was our thing. Unless you're bleeding to death or about on your deathbed, we're going because we said we were going. We're committed. If you knew the times that our son or our daughter has been up here, sick, miserable, hurting, you name it, but you would never know it. Because they're like, no. I can do this. I got this. And their capacity, stretch. And I have watched them. This is the deal. Now they can handle things because we stretch their capacity to know it ain't all going to be fair. I remember Bree, she could not wait. She was going to a Hillsong conference. She had been waiting, and we were so excited. She had the tickets. It was all great. And I remember the day while we're at the house, and I got a call from PT, and he said, hey, babe, I want to let you know, I don't think it got put on the books, but we're supposed to be speaking and singing for this function. And he gave me the date, and I went, oh, no. Okay. I said, well, who's going to tell Bree the news? He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, babe, this is when the conference that she's been waiting for a year for. And he was like, babe, we have to go we get to go do this. We're going to have to tell her. But because we stretched her capacity and because we let her know it ain't always going to be fair, and we let her know that pouting wasn't allowed in the goat house, and get yourself out of it, you have 1 minute. And I went to her and I said, babe, this is how I said it. We got an amazing opportunity to go minister to people. You know, in her mind, you know what? I'm done ministering. I wanted to be ministered to. And she goes, Mom, and this was her words, can you give me a minute? Because growing up, we would look and we say, you got 1 minute to get yourself out of it. Didn't go your way? So sorry. Well, let's go. And she said, can I have 1 minute? She took her minute. She said, all right, Mom, let's go do this. There'll be another conference. I'll see if someone else can buy the tickets. We'll go do it. Why is that? Because not because we're perfect, but because we try to walk the walk of stretching and capacity. What's your capacity? How much can you take? Whoever's around you will know, because it ain't what you say. It's all what you do. The bottom line, it just is. It's so important that you understand this, that as soon as you understand the power of your presence, you'll understand the power of your presence and what you can do with it. What you can do. If you're not present, you lose your presence. And you just do. So when you're walking, if you're not present and you're too into your world, whoever's around you. Leadership is about changing other people's lives. It really is. And you get to decide when you walk, what are you going to do? And we all have that choice. I know it's a lot, and I'm sorry, you're done. You're like, I've had enough leadership today for, thank God it's only once a month, right? But this is the deal. I love you. I pray you understand the power of who you are. You know, we say this all the time, and I don't ever want to take that. We used to have it plastered everywhere, and I was thinking about it the other day. I want to get it up again, and it simply is 2 words. You matter. You matter. You matter. More than this. And I love you, and I'm so incredibly proud of what you do at this church and how you walk. I pray that you take it from this church and take it wherever you go, and know that your walk stretches people, gives people hope, says something to them, and lets them know life can be different. You're amazing. I love you. You're incredible. You want to come up? Okay. You guys are awesome. Go stretch your legs.
You don't need no one to advise you. You probably do a better job running the world than I do. I just thought I'd remind you, I've been trying to find you. It feel like Satan working overtime, times 2. They say if it doesn't kill you, that refines you. But I'm trying to live, and that's bigger than survival. It's been a long night, it's been a long fight. So just remind me now, everything will be alright.